In Liber Novus, the Red Book, Carl Jung writes, "Effective emptiness is the essence of the devil. God and devil are the first manifestations of nothingness, which we call the pleroma. It makes no difference whether the pleroma exists or not, since it cancels itself out completely. Not so creation. Insofar as God and the devil are created beings, they do not cancel each other out, but stand one against the other as effective opposites. We need no proof of their existence. It is enough that we have to keep speaking about them. Even if both were not, creation would forever distinguish them anew out of the pleroma on account of their distinct essences. Everything that differentiation takes out of the pleroma is a pair of opposites. Therefore, the devil always belongs to God." This inseparability is most intimate, and as you know from experience, as indissoluble in your life as the pleroma itself, since both stand very close to the pleroma in which all opposites are cancelled out and united. Fullness and emptiness, generation and destruction are what distinguish God and the devil. Effectiveness is common to both. Effectiveness joins them. Effectiveness, therefore, stands above both and is a God above God, since it unites fullness and emptiness through its effectuality. This is a God you knew nothing about, because mankind forgot him. We call him by his name Abraxas. He is even more indefinite than God and the devil. To distinguish him from God, we call God Helios or Sun. Abraxas is effect. Nothing stands opposed to him but the ineffective. Hence his effective nature unfolds itself freely. The ineffective neither exists nor resists. Abraxas stands above the sun and above the devil. He is improbable probability, that which takes unreal effect. If the pleroma had an essence, Abraxas would be its manifestation. He is the effectual itself, not any particular effect, but effect in general. He takes unreal effect because he has no definite effect. He is also creation, since he is distinct from the pleroma. The sun has a definite effect, and so does the devil. Therefore they appear to us more effective than the indefinite Abraxas. He is force, duration, change. In the boundless expanse of cosmos, where galaxies emerge and collapse and stars ignite and fade out, there exists a force that defies comprehension, a power that transcends the dualities of our mortal upbringing. This is the world of Abraxas, the supreme deity of the Gnostics, the God above all gods, the unifying principle that binds everything, both God, the Son, and the devil. As Carl Jung writes in his masterwork, the Liber Novus, Abraxas is the God who is difficult to grasp. His power is greatest because man does not see it. Abraxas is the Archon, the Eon, the embodiment of the ineffable mysteries that permeate the universe. Its nature is chimeric, a synthesis of seemingly disparate elements, a rooster's head, a human torso, and serpentine legs. Each a symbol hiding essential truths about ourselves. The rooster's crow at dawn heralds the birth of light from darkness, the eternal cycle of creation and destruction. The human form represents the bridge between the terrestrial and celestial realms, the sacred vessel through which the divine sparks of consciousness flow. And the serpent, an emblem of wisdom and regeneration, signifies the transformative power that lies dormant within us all. In the words of Jung, Abraxas produces truth and lying, good and evil, light and darkness in the same word and in the same act. Therefore, Abraxas is terrible. This is the essence of the Gnostic revelation. The path to true knowledge, to gnosis, lies in embracing the totality of existence, in recognizing that the opposites that define our world are illusions, veils that obscure the ultimate reality. Abraxas is the key that unlocks this mystery, the force that reconciles the irreconcilable and brings the light and the darkness at the same table within your soul. To truly comprehend the significance of Abraxas, one must start with the origins of creation, the primordial source from which all things emanate. In Gnostic cosmology, this is the pleroma, the fullness of divine light that exists beyond the boundaries of time and space. It is from this ineffable realm that Abraxas emerges as the emissary of the true God, the one who sets in motion the great drama of cosmic evolution. As the Gnostic text on the origin of the world declares, the eternal realm, eon of truth, has no shadow outside it, for the limitless light is everywhere within it. Yet for us mortals, stuck in this illusion, this world of matter, Abraxas remains an enigma, a force that simultaneously attracts and repels, that inspires both awe and terror. To gaze upon its countenance is to confront the abyss within ourselves, to face the shadow that lurks beneath the surface and in the corners of our psyche. It is no wonder that the ancient Gnostics spoke of Abraxas with both reverence and trepidation, for to know this, God is to allow yourself to entertain thoughts and realities few have the courage to entertain. But for those who dare to walk this path, the rewards are beyond measure. In embracing Abraxas, we embrace totality, the light and the darkness, the mortal and the divine. We become the living embodiment of the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, the microcosm reflecting the macrocosm in all its resplendent glory. As the great mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me." This is the true gift of Abraxas. The realization that we are part of the divine and we make the plan happen. We have infinite potential. We are the source of power and wisdom that bridges the material with the spiritual. We become, in the words of Jung, a vessel of the divine light, a place of refuge for the light and a horror for the darkness. Abraxas represents the ultimate problem you need to face before even daring to say you understand reality a little bit. A challenge that demands nothing less than a complete transformation of who you are. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of ignorance, to cast off the chains of illusion and embodies the truth of our divine heritage. As the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas proclaims, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Answer the call of Abraxas. Summon the courage, the strength, the force, the power to confront the shadows within and without. Emerge as the radiant beings we were always meant to be. This is the universe unfolding. This is how things were meant to be. This is how they always were. We were and we are the living embodiment of the divine, the vessels through which the light of Gnosis shines upon modern nature. In the immortal words of the poet William Blake, I must create a system or be enslaved by another man's. I will not reason and compare. My business is to create. Let Abraxas be your guide and inspiration in this sacred task. Accept nothing less than the fullness of being and shine like the stars in the firmament of heaven. Was Jung not right when he said this? Man is a gateway through which you pass from the outer world of gods, daemons, and souls into the inner world, out of the greater into the smaller world. Small and inane is man. Already he is behind you, and once again you find yourselves in endless space, in the smaller or inner infinity. So step through this gateway, answer the call to adventure, discovery and transformation. This is it. Everything and nothing, the power and mystery of Abraxas. Exactly what you need to become the gods we were always meant to be. This is the sacred quest. If we trace the etymological threads that bind two of the most intriguing words in magical history, Abraxas and Abracadabra, the connection appears most explicitly in Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children, where he notes Abracadabra, not an Indian word at all, a Kabbalistic formula derived from the name of the supreme god of the Basilidan Gnostics, containing the number 365, the number of the days of the year and of the heavens, and of the spirits emanating from the god Abraxas. But the mystery runs deeper. Consider the structure of these words. Abracadabra, abracadabra, abracadab, abracada, abracad, abraca, abrac, abra, abar, ab, a. This is an ancient diminishing formula, written as an inverted triangle, and was used as a cure for fever and inflammation. Each line removes one letter, symbolizing the gradual diminishment of illness. The word itself appears to dissolve into nothingness, mirroring the desired effect on the ailment. Now consider Abraxas. 7 letters, planetary significance, begins with the same sequence. Abra. The shared root Abra likely connects to several ancient sources. Hebrew Abi, father, and Racha, spirit. Aramaic Avra meaning I create. The Chaldean formula Abada Ke Dabra meaning perish like the word. The magical significance becomes clearer when we consider that both words operate through a principle of transformation. Abracadabra works through reduction, the gradual diminishment of form. Abraxas works through transcendence, the unity of opposites. Most significantly, both words embody the principle of effectual speech, the idea that properly arranged letters and sounds can affect reality itself. This is a sophisticated understanding of the relationship between language, consciousness, and manifestation. While Abraxas appeared in complex theological invocations, Abracadabra served more practical, therapeutic purposes. Yet both operated through the same principle. The idea that properly arranged letters could bridge the gap between ideal and material reality. What's particularly fascinating is how these words survived into modern usage while undergoing a complete transformation of meaning. Abracadabra became associated with stage magic and illusion. Abraxas retained its connection to deeper metaphysical mysteries. The surface similarity of the words conceals a profound difference in their magical application and philosophical significance. The connection between these words is linguistic and functional, as both bridge the ordinary and non-ordinary realities, the speakable and the ineffable. They represent different approaches to the same fundamental mystery, how consciousness, through focused intention expressed in language, can affect material reality. Modern practitioners might dismiss these connections as mere etymology, but consider, what does it mean that two of the most powerful magical words in history share such similar structure? What ancient knowledge might be encoded in these linguistic patterns? The answer may lie in understanding how these formulas work on multiple levels simultaneously, as sound patterns affecting the nervous system, as conceptual bridges between abstract and concrete reality, as keys to altered states of consciousness. In this light, the connection between Abraxas and Abracadabra reveals something profound about the nature of magical practice, the unity of philosophical depth and practical application, of cosmic truth and healing power, of word and world. This is the true power of properly arranged symbols. This is how these words remain as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was also present at the end. In 7 Sermons to the Dead, Carl Jung lays again the following words about Abraxas. God and devil are distinguished by the qualities of fullness and emptiness, generation and destruction. Effectiveness is common to both. Effectiveness joins them. Effectiveness therefore stands above both. Is a God above God, since in its effect it unites fullness and emptiness. This is a God you don't know because humankind forgot it. We name it by its name, Abraxas. It is more indefinite still than God and devil. That God may be distinguished from it, we name God Helios, or Sun. Abraxas is effect. Nothing stands opposed to it but the ineffective. Hence its effective nature freely unfolds itself. The ineffective is not, therefore, resists not. Abraxas stands above the sun and above the devil. It is improbable probability, unreal reality. Had the pleroma a being, Abraxas would be its manifestation. It is the effective itself, nor any particular effect, but effect in general. It is unreal reality because it has no definite effect. It is also creatura because it is distinct from the pleroma. The sun has a definite effect, and so has the devil. Wherefore do they appear to us more effective than indefinite Abraxas? It is force, duration, change. We enter a dimension of Abraxas that is often overlooked, the art of alchemy. While on the surface these may seem like disparate domains, one philosophical and mythological, the other practical and scientific. A closer examination reveals some correspondences. In alchemy, they talked about transmutation, the conversion of base matter into gold, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary. This is a physical, spiritual, and psychological process, a metaphor for the evolution of consciousness. Now consider the central symbolism of Abraxas, the union of opposites, the transcendence of dualities, the integration of light and shadow. Is this not, in essence, the purpose of the alchemical opus? Just as the alchemist sought to reconcile the contradictory elements of nature, the Gnostic adept aimed to unite the polarities of existence within their own being. The parallels go deeper. In alchemical iconography, we often find the image of the rebis, or two-thing, a hermaphroditic figure representing the fusion of masculine and feminine principles. This androgynous being, often depicted with two heads or faces, bears a striking resemblance to some representations of Abraxas, who similarly embodies the unity of opposites. Moreover, both alchemy and Gnosticism place great emphasis on the role of secret knowledge, or gnosis, in the process of transformation. Just as the alchemist had to decipher obscure texts and symbols to unlock the secrets of nature, the Gnostic initiate sought to attain liberating insight through the interpretation of esoteric teachings. Perhaps most significantly, both traditions share a vision of the cosmos as a hierarchy of emanations descending from a divine source. In alchemy, this is often represented by the Emerald Tablet's maxim, "as above, so below." The idea that the microcosm of human experience reflects the macrocosm of universal order. Similarly, the Gnostic cosmology envisions a series of eons or spiritual planes emanating from the pleroma, the fullness of divine presence. Abraxas, in this context, can be understood as a personification of the principle of transformation, the driving force behind both spiritual and material evolution. Its enigmatic name, 7 letters, 7 classical planets, 7 days. The numerical value of the letters in the name adds up to 365. This hints at its role as a cosmic mediator, bridging the celestial and terrestrial realms. The alchemical text, Rosarium Philosophorum, speaks of a mysterious figure called Mercurius, who embodies many of the same qualities as Abraxas. Know that it is Mercury, cold and moist, and God hath created all minerals of it, for it is an airy element, flying from the fire. Therefore, when any part is fixed to it, it effecteth an high matter, and it is a profitable spirit, and there is not anything in the world but it. Neither is there anything that may stand in the place of it, and it is a thing searching to the bottom in every body and enriching it. Therefore, when it is mingled with the body, it reviveth it, and illuminates it, and converts it from disposition to disposition, and from one colour into another. Therefore it is the whole elixir of whiteness and redness, and it is a permanent water, and water of life and death. It is virgin's milk, the herb of washing, and the animal fountain, of which whosoever drinks dies not. And it is susceptive of colour, and a medicine of them causing them to take colours. And it is that which mortifies, dries, moistens, and makes hot and cold. And it does contrary things according to the measure of its regimen. And when it is quick, it hath other operations, and when it is dead, it hath other operations of others. And when it is sublimed, there are other operations unto it. And he is a dragon which marries himself, and does impregnate himself, and he brings forth in his day, and kills all animals with his poison, and the fire destroys him. And it destroys in short time by reason of the argent vive. Neither can he overcome it, nor eat it, but flies from it. The former wise philosophers have bethought themselves of the means of policies belonging unto it, until by little and little it be made abiding the fire. Therefore it does not cease to be graduated upon the fight of the fire, and it is fed of it. So that when any fiction is fixed to it, wonderful and strange mutations happen, because when it is changed, it changes. And his blackness appears, and his sound, and his brightness. Therefore when it is tincted, and it tincteth. When it is dissolved, and it dissolveth. And it whiteneth in the sight of the eye, and it maketh red in succession. And it is a water gathering together, and it is milk and strong urine, and mollifying oil, and the father of all miracles. And it is a mist and a cloud, and fugitive servant, and occidental Mercury, which hath preferred himself before gold, and hath overcome it. Therefore gold says unto him, Dost thou prefer thyself before me? And I am Lord of stones, enduring the fire. Our Mercury says unto it, But I have begat thee, and thou art born of me. And one part of me revives many parts of thee. But thou art covetous, and givest not anything in comparison to me. And he which shall bind me with my brother and my sister shall live and rejoice. And it shall suffice him in all his life, if he should live 1,000,000 years, and every day sustain 7,000 men. Yet he should never want, and I am the whole secret, and in me the science is hidden, because I convert all bodies into Sol and Luna, when my nature is such that I mollify the hard and make the soft hard. And therefore note that the philosopher's stone for the true alchemy itself is this thing only in the whole world, and he which errs in this one thing is thought to run headlong from the matter. But yet it is not perfect in his nature, to which workmanship itself has brought it. For without the magistracy, it is of no force with us, nor of any commodity, neither does it perfectly yield anything, but rather corrupteth. And this therefore I speak so far forth, as you use it with the magistracy, because it is pure phlegm. Sometimes the philosophers call it sulphur and melancholy citrin, by reason of the effect of his miraculous virtue. For as some men will have it, of it God created all nations and appointed the original of them, for some men have called this our stone, white copper. This description of mercurius as a paradoxical, all-encompassing entity bears a striking resemblance to Jung's characterization of Abraxas as a union of opposites, an embodiment of the fundamental dynamism of existence. What emerges from these correspondences is a vision of Abraxas not merely as a Gnostic deity, but as an archetypal force of transformation, a symbol of the process by which consciousness evolves and matter is refined. Seen in this light, the Abraxas mystery takes on a new depth and relevance, as a key to understanding the deep structure of spirit. Perhaps the ultimate message of Abraxas, in both its Gnostic and alchemical dimensions, is that the path to wholeness requires a willingness to embrace paradox, to hold the tension of opposites, to see the light in the darkness and the darkness in the light. Only by uniting these contradictory elements within ourselves can we hope to attain the gold of true wisdom, the pearl of genuine self-knowledge. In a world that often seems torn between irreconcilable extremes, the Abraxas archetype reminds us of the transformative power that lies hidden in the very heart of contradiction. It invites us to see our struggles and conflicts not merely as obstacles to be overcome, but as opportunities for growth and self-realization, the forge in which the philosopher's stone of the soul is shaped and tempered. Approach this mystery with the spirit of the alchemist, patient, persistent, attuned to the subtle correspondences that link the high and the low, the inner and the outer, the spiritual and the material. After all, Abraxas is the enigma of existence, yours and mine, a riddle that can only be solved by those willing to embrace the fullness of their own being in all its paradox and complexity. Then, again, Carl Jung writes in the Liber Novus, Abraxas is the god who is difficult to grasp. His power is greatest, because man does not see it. From the sun he draws the summum bonum, from the devil the infimum malum, but from Abraxas life, altogether indefinite, the mother of good and evil. Life seems to be smaller and weaker than the summum bonum. Therefore, it is also hard to conceive that Abraxas's power transcends even the sun's, which is the radiant source of all vital force. Abraxas is the sun, and at the same time the eternally sucking gorge of emptiness, of the diminisher and dismemberer of the devil. The power of Abraxas is twofold, but you do not see it, because in your eyes the warring opposites of this power are cancelled out. What the sun god speaks is life, what the devil speaks is death. But Abraxas speaks that hallowed and accursed word that is at once life and death. Abraxas produces truth and lying, good and evil, light and darkness, in the same word and in the same act. Therefore Abraxas is terrible. He is as splendid as the lion in the instant he strikes down his victim. He is as beautiful as a spring day. He is the great and the small Pan alike. He is Priapos. He is the monster of the underworld, a thousand-armed polyp, a coiled knot of winged serpents, frenzy. He is the hermaphrodite of the earliest beginning. He is the lord of toads and frogs, which live in the water and go up on the land, whose chorus ascends at noon and at midnight. He is the fullness that seeks union with emptiness. He is holy begetting. He is love and its murder. He is the saint and his betrayer. He is the brightest light of day and the darkest night of madness. To look upon him is blindness. To recognize him is sickness. To worship him is death. To fear him is wisdom. Not to resist him is redemption. God dwells behind the sun, the devil behind the night. What God brings forth out of the light, the devil sucks into the night. But Abraxas is the world, its becoming and its passing. Upon every gift that comes from the sun god, the devil lays his curse. Everything that you request from the sun god produces a deed from the devil. Everything that you create with the sun god gives effective power to the devil. That is terrible Abraxas. He is the mightiest created being, and in him creation is afraid of itself. He is the manifest opposition of creation to the pleroma and its nothingness. He is the son's horror of the mother. He is the mother's love for the son. He is the delight of the earth and the cruelty of the heavens. At his sight, man's face congeals. Before him there is no question and no reply. He is the life of creation. He is the effect of differentiation. He is the love of man. He is the speech of man. He is the appearance and the shadow of man. He is deceptive reality. Now the dead howled and raged, for they were incomplete. Buried beneath layers of earth and memory, we find the traces of that terrible and magnificent being, Abraxas. The stones themselves bear witness, countless gems and amulets, each carved with devotion and trembling purpose. Here we see not merely artifacts, but windows into the soul's desperate reaching toward that which transcends understanding. Consider the remarkable fact. Abraxas contains within its very structure the number 365. A equals 1, beta equals 2, rho equals 100, alpha equals 1, sigma equals 200, alpha equals 1, Ashe equals 60. This is no accident, for in this numerical harmony we glimpse the great mystery of time itself, each day of the solar dance encoded in the very name of that which stands above both sun and shadow. The ancient ones knew well that names hold power, that in the proper arrangement of letters lies the key to cosmic forces. These Abraxas stones, these ancient testimonies, show us something profound about the human encounter with the ineffable. Most curious is the anguipede form, the roosted head, the serpentine legs, the human torso armored as if for cosmic war. This is no mere decorative fancy. In this chimeric form we see the entire drama of existence captured. The solar cockhead, crying forth creation at dawn, the human heart mediating between above and below, the serpent feet moving through matter's dark waters. The magical papyri tell us more, speaking in voices both familiar and strange. I conjure you by Yahweh Sabaoth Adonai Abraxas, they cry out, mixing Hebrew names of God with this more terrible power. Why? Because even then they knew that behind all names and forms lurks something more fundamental, something that encompasses yet transcends all particular gods and demons. Most telling are the stones that bear no image at all, only the name, repeated like a mantra, sometimes combined with Yahweh, that secret name of God. These humble amulets perhaps come closest to truth, for they refuse to limit with image that which cannot be imagined. Their very simplicity is very striking, given that fundamentally we are discussing the human encounter with the Absolute. What strange wisdom led the stonecutters to carve these talismans? What trembling revelation guided their hands as they etched these forms into jasper and bloodstone? We find them everywhere, from the markets of Alexandria to the furthest reaches of the Roman Empire, the same eternal overreaching toward the infinite. Some of these stones show Abraxas holding a shield, others a whip or sword. Always the implements of power, always the symbols of authority over both material and spiritual realms. It's the soul's own struggle with forces it can barely comprehend. The ancient artificers knew something we have forgotten. When they carved these stones, when they whispered these invocations, they were practicing magic, engaging in a profound act of cosmic alignment, attempting to bridge the gap between the limited human vessel and the infinite forces that create our reality. This is a language more ancient than words. It's humanity's eternal wrestling with the greatest mysteries, creation and destruction, light and darkness, being and non-being. They remind us that long before our time, others gazed into the abyss and saw there something both terrible and wonderful, something that demanded to be named, even as it transcended all names. This is the true legacy of these stones, eternal witnesses to the human encounter with the Absolute. In their silent testimony we find our attempt to comprehend the incomprehensible, to give form to the formless, to find meaning in the vast oceanic constellation of creation and destruction. Days and nights pass by, the celestial spheres turn, a deeper pattern emerges. Consider this, that the ancients, in their profound wisdom, recognized in Abraxas not a numerical symphony, a harmony of the spheres, the 7 letters of Abraxas. Is it not significant that 7 are the classical planets, 7 the days that structure our weeks, 7 the steps of the alchemical opus, and in their sum, reaching toward that perfect number 365, we find ourselves confronting a mystery that spans both time and eternity. Let us look more deeply. The Basilidians, those ancient seekers of wisdom, spoke of 365 heavens, each a sphere of divine emanation, each a step on the cosmic ladder. Why did they choose this number? Not just to mirror the solar year, no, there is something more profound at work here. For in their system, each heaven was ruled by its own angel, each angel bearing its own sacred name, and at their head stood mighty Abraxas, the great Archon, the one who contains within himself the totality of all these powers. In Jung's Liber Novus, we find a striking passage that sheds light on the numerical mysteries of Abraxas. Abraxas is the effect of the whole, and only the ineffective opposes him. 4 is the number of the principal gods, as 4 is the number of the world's measurements. 1 is the beginning, the sun god. 2 is Eros, for he binds 2 together and spreads himself out in brightness. 3 is the tree of life, for it fills space with bodies. 4 is the devil, for he opens all that is closed. He dissolves everything formed and physical. He is the destroyer in whom everything becomes nothing. This passage suggests a profound cosmological system rooted in the symbolism of numbers. Abraxas, as the effect of the whole, encompasses and transcends the 4 principal gods, each associated with a primal force or element of creation. The sun god, as the one, represents the principle of unity, the source of all light and life. Eros, the 2, is the force of attraction and connection, binding together the disparate elements of existence. The tree of life, the 3, embodies the principle of manifestation, filling the void with the myriad forms of the physical world. And finally, the devil, the 4, represents the principle of dissolution and transformation, breaking down the rigid structures of reality to allow for new creation. Abraxas, then, is the overarching principle that unites and transcends these 4 aspects. The ultimate reality that encompasses both creation and destruction, light and darkness, form and formlessness. It is the effect of the whole, in the sense that it is the ultimate outcome or expression of the totality of existence, the alpha and omega of the cosmic process. This numerical symbolism hides a deep structure underlying the nature of reality, a structure that is at once mathematical and mythological, rational and intuitive. By contemplating these correspondences and meditating on their implications, we can begin to understand the wisdom encoded in the language of the universe, which is mathematical and fractal. Of course, we must be cautious not to impose too rigid or literal an interpretation on these numerical symbols. They are not meant to be taken as dogmatic truths, but rather as keys to unlock deeper levels of understanding and insight. Each of us must ultimately find our own way of relating to and integrating these archetypal principles into our own lives and consciousness. Nonetheless, the numerical mysteries of Abraxas and the fourfold structure of creation offer a powerful framework for contemplating the nature of existence and our place within it. By engaging with these symbols and ideas, we can begin to awaken to the deeper dimensions of reality that lie hidden beneath the surface of our ordinary experience. In doing so, we may just discover that the ultimate meaning of Abraxas and of our own lives lies not in any fixed system or doctrine, but in the ongoing process of creation and transformation, the eternal dance of the one and the many, the ineffable mystery at the heart of all that is. Man shall differentiate himself both from spirituality and sexuality. He shall call spirituality mother, and set her between heaven and earth. He shall call sexuality phallos, and set him between himself and earth. For the mother and the phallos are superhuman daemons that reveal the world of the gods. They affect us more than the gods, since they are closely akin to our essence. If you do not differentiate yourselves from sexuality and from spirituality, and do not regard them as an essence both above and beyond you, you are delivered over to them as qualities of the pleroma. Spirituality and sexuality are not your qualities, not things you possess and encompass. Rather, they possess and encompass you, since they are powerful daemons, manifestations of the gods, and hence reach beyond you, existing in themselves. No man has a spirituality unto himself or a sexuality unto himself. Instead, he stands under the law of spirituality and of sexuality. Therefore, no one escapes these daemons. You shall look upon them as daemons, and as a common task and danger, a common burden that life has laid upon you. Thus life, too, is for you a common task and danger, as are the gods, and first and foremost terrible Abraxas. Writes Carl Jung in Liber Novus. Jung's point is that spirituality and sexuality are bigger than us. They're more than parts of our personality. They're fundamental forces that shape our entire existence. We can't just claim them as our own or think we have them under control. You just can't. These forces are akin to powerful spirits or demons that have a life of their own. They connect us to something greater, to the gods and the deepest mysteries of life. That's why they have such a hold over us, why they can drive us to the highest heights or the lowest depths. The problem is, most of us don't realize this. We think our spirituality or sexuality is just an expression of who we are, rather than something that has power over us. We get identified with these forces, thinking we are them, instead of recognizing them as the wild and untamed energies they are. Jung's saying we need to step back and see these things for what they are. We have to differentiate ourselves, create some space between our ego and these primal drives. That doesn't mean we reject them or try to shut them down. It means we approach them with respect, acknowledging their power and their place in the greater scheme of things. Your mind needs to be the well-integrated self, your soul invincible, your vibration fiery. When we do that, we start to see that dealing with spirituality and sexuality is part of the basic facts of who we are as humans. It's not just our private struggle, but something we all have to struggle with. It's the common task of life, the price of admission for being here on this wild ride. And at the center of it all stands Abraxas, the ultimate embodiment of this mystery. Abraxas represents the union of all opposites, the God who is both good and evil, creation and destruction, light and dark. In the face of that kind of power, all we can do is surrender our illusions of control and bow down before the sheer immensity of it all. That's the real challenge Jung is laying out here, to face the gods within us, the forces that shape our lives, with our eyes wide open. To stop pretending we're in charge and start learning how to dance with the energies that move us. It's a wild and dangerous path, but it's the only way to become truly alive, to tap into the full depth and richness of this human journey. So forget the fancy talk. This is about getting real, about facing the raw power of life head on. It's about daring to look in the mirror and see the gods staring back at us in all its terrible and awesome glory. That's the task Jung is calling us to, and it's one we can only face with courage, humility, and a willingness to be transformed by the very forces that define us. Then Jung writes again in Liber Novus. Man is a gateway through which you pass from the outer world of gods, daemons, and souls into the inner world, out of the greater, into the smaller world. Small and inane is man. Already he is behind you, and once again you find yourselves in endless space, in the smaller or inner infinity. At immeasurable distance a lonely star stands in the zenith. This is the one God of this one man. This is his world, his pleroma, his divinity. In this world man is Abraxas, the creator and destroyer of his own world. This star is the God and the goal of man. This is his lone guiding God. In him man goes to his rest. Toward him goes the long journey of the soul after death. In him everything that man withdraws from the greater world shines resplendently. To this one God man shall pray. Prayer increases the light of the star. It throws a bridge across death. It prepares life for the smaller world and assuages the hopeless desires of the greater. When the greater world turns cold, the star shines. Nothing stands between man and his one God, so long as man can turn away his eyes from the flaming spectacle of Abraxas. Man here, God there. Weakness and nothingness here, eternally creative power there. As we come to the close of our journey through the mysteries of Abraxas, I invite you to consider one final piece of the puzzle, a strange and enigmatic text known as Appendix C. This document, drawn from the depths of Jung's personal archives, offers a glimpse into the private musings and visionary experiences that shaped his views on this archetypal figure. In the pages of Appendix C, we find Jung asking again and again the fundamental questions of existence, the nature of the soul, the relationship between the human and the divine, the cosmic acts of creation and destruction. Through a series of haunting and cryptic images, he maps out a cosmology of the psyche, a vision of the universe as a living, breathing entity, shot through with meaning and purpose. At the center of this vision stands Abraxas, the great unifier, the god who transcends all dualities and oppositions. In the face of this overwhelming presence, Jung struggles to find language adequate to the task of representation. He speaks of a god of the frogs, of a force that is like Eros but a god, of a power that both compels and destroys, that demands our worship even as it shatters our every illusion. In the end, Jung leaves us with a challenge and a call to action. He invites us to start our own journey of discovery, to confront the gods within and without, to take up the mantle of the hero and the sage. For only by facing the ultimate mysteries of existence head-on can we hope to find our true place in the great theatre of life and to fulfill our deepest potential as human beings. As we prepare to get into the strange and wondrous world of Appendix C, I encourage you to approach this text with an open heart and a curious mind. Allow yourself to be drawn into its symbolic landscape, to be moved by its poetic imagery and its philosophical depth. Let it serve as a catalyst for your own exploration, a jumping-off point for your own journey of self-discovery. And as you do so, remember that you are not alone in this quest. Countless others have walked this path before you, seeking the truth that lies hidden at the heart of the cosmos. I try to walk among them, dare to ask the questions that others fear to voice. It is in his spirit that I offer these teachings, not as dogma to be accepted blindly, but as an invitation to explore, to question, to risk everything in the pursuit of authentic wisdom. For truth, for life, for everything. Let's end as we began, with a sense of wonder and awe at the sheer immensity of the mysteries we have witnessed. Let's give thanks for the opportunity to have shared in this experience together, to have dared to peer behind the veil and to catch a fragment of the ineffable truth that lies beyond. And most of all, let us resolve to carry this spirit of inquiry and adventure forward into our own lives, to let the lessons of Abraxas and the wisdom of the ancients guide us as we navigate the challenges and opportunities of our own time. For in the end, the greatest gift of this exploration is not any single answer or insight, but rather the reminder that we are all part of something much greater than ourselves, a cosmic intermix of meaning and mystery that stretches across the ages and the stars. It is in recognizing our place within this larger whole that we find our deepest purpose and our highest calling. So thank you, dear friends, for joining me on this journey. May the spirit of Abraxas guide you. May the wisdom of the ancients inspire you. And may the courage of your own seeking lead you ever closer to the truth that lies waiting to be discovered now and in all the ages to come. Let's end this video properly. In the words of Carl Jung, the following is an entry from Black Book 5, which gives a preliminary sketch of cosmology of the Septem Sermons. The force of the god is frightful. You shall experience even more of it. You're in the second age. The first age has been overcome. This is the age of the rulership of the sun, whom you call the frog god. A third age will follow, the age of apportionment and harmonious power. My soul, where did you go? Did you go to the animals? I bind the above with the below. I bind God and animal. Something in me is part animal, something part God, and a third part human. Below you serpent, within you man, and above you God. Beyond the serpent comes the phallus, then the earth, then the moon, and finally the coldness and emptiness of outer space. Above you comes the dove, or the celestial soul, in which love and foresight are united, just as poison and shrewdness are united in the serpent. Shrewdness is the devil's understanding, which always detects smaller things and finds chinks where you suspect none. If I am not conjoined through the uniting of the below and the above, I break down into three parts. The serpent, and in that or some other animal form I roam, living nature demonically, arousing fear and longing. The human soul living forever within you, the celestial soul as such dwelling with the gods, far from you and unknown to you, appearing in the form of a bird. Each of these three parts then is independent. Beyond me stands the celestial mother. Its counterpart is the phallus. Its mother is the earth. Its goal is the heavenly mother. The celestial mother is the daughter of the celestial world. Its counterpart is the earth. The celestial mother is illuminated through the spiritual sun. Its counterpart is the moon. And just as the moon is the crossing to the dead of space, the spiritual sun is the crossing to the pleroma, the upper world of fullness. The moon is the God's eye of emptiness, just as the sun is the God's eye of fullness. The moon that you see is the symbol, just as the sun that you see. Sun and moon, that is, their symbols, are gods. There are still other gods. Their symbols are the planets. The celestial mother is a daemon among the order of the gods, an inhabitant of the heavenly world. The gods are favorable and unfavorable, impersonal, the souls of stars, influences, forces, grandfathers of souls, rulers in the heavenly world, both in spa tilde and in force. They are neither dangerous nor kind, strong yet humble, clarifications of the pleroma and of the eternal emptiness, configurations of the eternal qualities. Their number is immeasurably great and leads over to the one supreme fundamental, which contains all qualities in itself, and itself has none, a nothing and everything, the complete dissolution of man, death, and eternal life. Man becomes through the principium individuationis. He strives for absolute individuality, through which he ever increasingly concentrates the absolute dissolution of the pleroma. Through this, he makes the pleroma the point that contains the greatest tension and is itself a shining star, immeasurably small, just as the pleroma is immeasurably great. The more concentrated the pleroma becomes, the stronger the star of the individual becomes. It is surrounded by shining clouds, a heavenly body in the making comparable to a small sun. It emits fire. Therefore it is called I'm a star, wandering about with you. Just like the sun, which is also such a star, which is a god and grandfather of souls, the star of the individual is also like the sun, a god and grandfather of the souls. He is visible from time to time, just as I've described him. His light is blue, like that of a distant star. He is far out in space, cold and solitary, since he is beyond death. To attain individuality, we need a large share of death. Therefore it is called, you are gods, since just as an innumerable number of men rule the earth, so a countless number of stars and of gods rule the celestial world. To be sure, this God is the one who survives the death of men. To him for whom solitude is heaven, he goes to heaven. To him for whom it is hell, he goes to hell. Whoever does not follow the principium individuationis to its end becomes no God, since he cannot bear individuality. The dead who besiege us are souls who have not fulfilled the principium individuationis, or else they would have become distant stars. Insofar as we do not fulfill it, the dead have a claim on us and besiege us, and we cannot escape them. The god of the frogs, or toads, the brainless, is the uniting of the Christian God with Satan. His nature is like the flame. He is like Eros, but a god. Eros is only a daemon. The one God to whom worship is due is in the middle. You should worship only one God. The other gods are unimportant. Abraxas is to be flared. Therefore it was a deliverance when he separated himself from me. You do not need to seek him. He will find you, just like Eros. He is the god of the cosmos, extremely powerful and fearful. He is the creative drive, he is form and formation, just as much as matter and force. Therefore he is above all the light and dark gods. He tears away souls and casts them into procreation. He is the creative and created. He is the God who always renews himself in days, in months, in years, in human life, in ages, in peoples, in the living, in heavenly bodies. He compels, he is unsparing. If you worship him, you increase his power over you. Thereby it becomes unbearable. You will have dreadful trouble getting clear of him. The more you free yourself from him, the more you approach death, since he is the life of the universe. But he is also universal death. Therefore you fall victim to him again, not in life but in dying. So remember him, do not worship him, but also do not imagine that you can flee him since he is all around you. You must be in the middle of life, surrounded by death on all sides. Stretched out like one crucified, you hang in him, the fearful, the overpowering. But you have in you the one God, the wonderfully beautiful and kind, the solitary, star-like, unmoving, he who is older and wiser than the Father, he who has a safe hand, who leads you among all the darknesses and death scares of dreadful Abraxas. He gives joy and peace, since he is beyond death and beyond what is subject to change. He is no servant and no friend of Abraxas. He himself is an Abraxas, but not unto you, but in himself and his distant world, since you yourself are a God who lives in faraway realms, and who renews himself in his ages and creations and peoples, just as powerful to them as Abraxas is to you. You yourself are a creator of worlds and a created being. You have the one God, and you become your one God in the innumerable number of gods. As a god, you are the great Abraxas in your world. But as a man, you are the heart of the one God who appears to his world as the great Abraxas, the feared, the powerful, the donor of madness, he who dispenses the water of life, the spirit of the tree of life, the daemon of the blood, the death-bringer. You are the suffering heart of your one-star God, who is Abraxas to his world. Therefore, because you are the heart of your God, aspire toward him, love him, live for him. Fear Abraxas, who rules over the human world. Accept what he forces upon you, since he is the master of the life of this world, and none can escape him. If you do not accept, he will torment you to death, and the heart of your God will suffer, just as the one God of Christ suffered the heaviest in his death. The suffering of mankind is without end, since its life is without end, since there is no end where none sees an end. If mankind has come to an end, there is none who would see its end, and none who could say that mankind has an end. So it has no end for itself, but it certainly does for the gods. The death of Christ took no suffering away from the world, but his life has taught us much, namely that it pleases the one God if the individual lives his own life against the power of Abraxas. The one God thus delivers himself from the suffering of the earth into which his Eros plunged him, since when the one God saw the earth he sought its procreation, and forgot that a world was already given to him in which he was Abraxas. So the one God became human. Therefore the one in turn pulls man up to him and into him, so that the one becomes complete again. But the freeing of man from the power of Abraxas does not follow man's withdrawing from the power of Abraxas. No one can pull away from it, but through subjugating himself to it. Even Christ had to subjugate himself to the power of Abraxas, and Abraxas killed him in a gruesome manner. Only by living life can you free yourself from it. So live it to such a degree that it befits you. To the degree that you live it, you also fall victim to the power of Abraxas and his dreadful deceptions. But to the same degree the star God in you gains in longing and power, in that the fruit of deception and human disappointment falls to him. Pain and disappointment fill the world of Abraxas with coldness. All of your life's warmth slowly sinks into the depths of your soul, into the midpoint of man, where the far blue starlight of your one God glimmers. If you flee Abraxas from fear, you escape pain and disappointment, and you remain terrified, that is, out of unconscious love. You cling to Abraxas, and your one God cannot catch fire. But through pain and disappointment, you redeem yourself, since your longing then falls of its own accord, like a ripe fruit into the depths, following gravity, striving toward the midpoint, where the blue light of the star God arises. So do not flee from Abraxas, do not seek him. You feel his coercion, do not resist him, so that you shall live and pay your ransom. The works of Abraxas are to be fulfilled, for consider that in your world you yourself are Abraxas, and force your creature to fulfill your work. Here, where you are the creature subjugated to Abraxas, you must learn to fulfill the work of life. There, where you are Abraxas, you compel your creatures. You ask, why is all this so? I understand that it seems questionable to you. The world is questionable. It is the unending infinite folly of the gods, which you know is unendingly wise. Surely it is also a crime, an unforgivable sin, and therefore also the highest love and virtue. So, live life. Do not flee Abraxas, provided that he compels you and you can recognize his necessity. In one sense, I say to you, do not fear him, do not love him. In another sense, I say, fear him, love him. He is the life of the earth, that says enough. You need to recognize the multiplicity of the gods. You cannot unite all into one being. As little as you are one with the multiplicity of men, just so little is the one God one with the multiplicity of the gods. This one God is the kind, the loving, the leading, the healing. To him all your love and worship is due. To him you should pray. You are one with him. He is near you, nearer than your soul. I, your soul, am your mother, who tenderly and frightfully surrounds you, your nourisher and corrupter. I prepare good things and poison for you. I am your intercessor with Abraxas. I teach you the arts that protect you from Abraxas. I stand between you and Abraxas, the all-encompassing. I am your body, your shadow, your effectiveness in this world, your manifestation in the world of the gods, your effulgence, your breath, your odor, your magical force. You should call me if you want to live with men, but the one God if you want to rise above the human world to the divine and eternal solitude of the star.